Nacho in the crusher. All 9 of these in the blender at the same time. Not blended. So you're saying I can print stuff that's flexible and strong? Let's find out. Alright, Corey.
Shabam!
What are we doing here?
Well, we're gonna test out these little test pieces that you printed out. So we're gonna start with perimeter layer just being 1, and then infill being 5%. Then we move it on up to 2 layers around the edge with 10% infill, all the way up until we get to 3 layers with 15% infill. Honestly, I feel like it's just gonna come right back.
Like all of them?
Definitely for sure the little guys, like I'm barely pushing on it and it just flexes. I am more curious on, I guess, the 3 and 15 as we get up there. I think it maybe might have a little something on there.
Deformation.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be crazy though.
No. Maybe it'll show some evidence of having deformed once.
At some point in its life ever.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know. I think I'm with you. I don't think anything's going to happen to any of them. Maybe the higher wall loop ones. They're certainly going to show, if anything, they're going to show more. But all right, well, you're going to do some crushing. Here we go, boys.
Before we get to the crushing, let's take a second to see what TPU is. It sounds like there are a lot of things to consider before actually printing it.
What is TPU?
Oh, great question you asked. It's a thermoplastic polyurethane.
We've been looking into TPU some more to try and figure out an easily digestible way of understanding what it even is. We still don't quite know. Thermoplastic polyurethane. Great. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm familiar with EPDM, which is...
It's great music.
which is like a rubbery sort of flexible thing.
Oh, yeah.
So those black tarp straps,
Okay, yeah.
those are EPDM.
Okay.
Waterproofing membrane for roofing is EPDM. The bottom door seals or reefer door seals at work, EPDM. So I was thinking, what's the difference between TPU and EPDM? I still don't know. EPDM is not a polyurethane. There's also the word elastomer that keeps getting thrown around.
Yeah, that one's getting me. Isocyanate. Deisocyanate.
Ethylene propylene diene monomer rubber. So there's a lot. What we do know about TPU is being a thermoplastic, you can heat it up and it can cool off and it maintains its properties. There's one thing we know.
Bam!
That it's great. That means we can use it for 3D printing. Because you heat it up, cool it off, it's fine. It keeps doing its things. So when printing with TPU, there's a lot of debate on the internet. You can't print TPU on a Bowden. It has to be direct drive. Now, Bowden tube setups aren't that common anymore. You're Ender 3, but a lot of that style and those clones, Ender 3 clones, have Bowden setups where the extruder motor that feeds the filament and then the nozzle, right, they're completely disconnected from each other. Your motor's over here, goes through a tube, and it pushes it through the nozzle all the way over here.
Okay.
You could see why that would cause problems with TPU, because flexible.
Pushing here, can't get it all the way down here.
A lot of people say, no, absolutely not. You can't do that. Some people are like, you can do that.
Don't put me in a box.
Do you want to see us try and do that? Because I've always wanted to mess with it. I just never got around to it. Let us know in the comments if you want to see us do that. In your direct drive setup, you've got the motor that is feeding the filament. It's all in one unit. It's all on the tool head. It's right there. So the path between pushing it and it coming out of the hot end is much shorter. So you get a lot better control over that extrusion and all the characteristics therein. When you've got super flexible TPU, that path needs to be well constrained. If there's any gaps in it, we spoke about this in the last video a little bit.
Find it.
Yeah, if there's a gap that offers less resistance than it going through the nozzle, it's going to go through there and wind up in the gears and do all that sort of thing. So direct drive definitely preferred over Bowden tube. Where do we come across TPU in real life, Corey?
You see it a lot in cars, floor mats, steering wheels. You kind of see where it's a hard, soft bit in there. Hoses. a lot of times around electrical cables, cords, and stuff like that. Phone cases, and especially when they're flexible, but they're going to be resistant as well. So
just rubbery stuff. For all intents and purposes, TPU is rubber. Tell you what, if you can let me know in the comments how to explain TPU without saying it's got this chain of molecules and the polymers are long chains, and if you could explain it to me in a way that I can explain to my 2-year-old what the difference between TPU and rubber is, do that.
easy. I got you. Right here, right now, it's a reaction of polyols. Polyester, polyether, or polycarbonate based. Either one, doesn't matter. We don't care. Diisocyanates and short chain diols. That's all you need to know. It's right there in the words. It explains it.
Say less, buddy. Say less.
Another thing to consider is how sticky this stuff is when it comes out. You're probably going to want some type of interface layer on your bed, a little like glue sticking over it, maybe some blue painter's tape. That's going to help it come off your bed. You would think putting glue or anything else would make it stick more. No, it's giving it something else to stick to. So when you do take it off your bed, it's going to go instead of ripping it off there or just straight stuck. And then if you have a glass bed, you lose that first layer and it becomes a thing.
How would you know?
How would they know?
How would you know? Good thing that doesn't happen.
Yeah, we've never done that before in our lives.
No. What I am going to do is regurgitate something that the internet has made easily digestible. Here's 5 things you need to know about TPU, according to ecosports.com. Number 1, TPU is biodegradable. PLA is also biodegradable. We spoke about that in our PLA video. TPU, biodegradable and recyclable. Sick. Number 2, TPU can be recycled. It said that in number 1. It can be recycled and used to create other materials, including more TPU, but not just more TPU. So they can grind it up and put it in other stuff or make more TPU. Number 3, TPU does not contribute to the pH changes in soil or groundwater when it's biodegrading. So that is something that I wouldn't have considered very much. Yeah. Some stuff's biodegradable, but while it's biodegrading, is it like super bad chemicals? It doesn't affect me, I don't know, but it's probably good if we don't have bad chemicals in the ground.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I mean, I'm not a ground doctor.
Not a ground doctor, a groundologist. TPU, not very good at overhangs. TPU is flexible. As such, TPU is a little bit saggy in the overhang department. It's not going to be as good at bridging and doing those super steep overhangs because it's flexible. I don't know a better way to explain that. You can tell by the way it is that it's not going to do well.
It almost comes out more liquidy.
Yeah, you think about it is generally a more liquidy sort of thing, right? So of course it's not going to do overhangs very well.
Makes sense.
Yeah. This one says TPU is wear and tear and water resistant, which allows end products to hold up appearance even with regular and extensive use. Now, wear resistant, I guess it depends on what kind of wear. In our last video, we subjected our TPU to the Dremel. It just like melted immediately. So in that specific application in those parameters, it did not hold up at all. When we put it in the blender and everything, it held up phenomenally well.
That's right.
Yeah, so wear and tear resistant, I can see where that's the case. Water resistant, I know people use TPU for gaskets and things. That's cool.
You might be thinking, how hot do I want to make this sucker? On average, bed temp about 30 Celsius. I've seen it anywhere up as high as 50 to 60 degrees Celsius, anywhere as low as 20. Our nozzles, push them up there. It's around 200 to 250. Again, give or take 10 degrees, more or less. It's going to depend on your print, what you're doing, and the environment you're in. There's so many different things, but in general, you want to be at those levels.
Number 5, safe for kids, as it does not use rubber accelerators and plasticizers that cause skin irritation.
Funny thing, that's also why they can use it in medical stuff.
Oh,
For that exact same reason.
because it doesn't upset.
Biodegradable and does not cause skin irritation.
So it is, yeah, skin safe is one thing about TPU that I was kind of familiar with. There are some TPUs, I think there's one called Chinchilla that feels really smooth and nice and is made for wearable things specifically.
Wow, okay.
Because regular TPU is skin safe, but it's not necessarily comfortable.
Well, fair.
Skin safe, not necessarily comfortable on your wearables, but skin safe nonetheless. Bonus tip, you thought it was 5 tips. There's 6 here.
Great.
TPU reduces the amount of resources needed, meaning less waste and energy required for each ball. It's talking about basketballs.
It's very oddly specific.
That is very specific.
Which ball?
I don't know. I don't so much care about number 6 there. That's a little bit about TPU. Did we clear anything up for you? Probably not.
It's a rubbery soft plastic
Plastics.
that's gonna take wear and tear.
Yeah.
Use it.
So, a big difference with TPU, I start every one of these things with so. You know how often I have to edit out me saying so?
That's your line.
So, what I need to do is be pushing my catchphrase of, you like that?
Yeah.
I finally said it in the last video because I was like, I need to do the thing. Yeah, you like that. Printing TPU, what do you have to consider? There's one big thing, Corey.
What could that be?
The speed that you print it at. TPU is going to print a lot slower because you're pushing a wet noodle out a little tiny nozzle. I don't know what else to say. It's got to print slower. It's all about maintaining the pressure inside of that system. So when you have a rigid filament, it becomes molten just at the end of that system. But TPU, it's kind of as if it's more liquidy or more molten further up. And then just at the end, it's properly liquid and comes out, right? You have to print it slower so you can maintain control of those areas of pressure differential. It's not rigid, soft. It's like soft, softer. Typically, we're talking about Bamboo default presets. For speed, PLA, Bamboo default preset is going to be 12 millimeters cubed per second. TPU, 3 millimeters cubed a second. That's 25% of the speed for you math boys. Much slower. And even with that, it still sucks at overhangs. Stupid TPU.
All right, it's finally time. I'm not convinced that these testers are gonna care about being crushed, but let's put these babies to the test.
What if I fall? What if you don't?
It looks like we didn't do anything. I swear I actually did something today.
We have footage of it. It a time lapse.
This is proof.
Literally nothing.
During the shots and what I noticed, this one may have etched off the tiniest little extra bit. I think when it started squishing, I just saw like a little tiny blue piece just go. I don't know where it is.
So maybe.
It's so small that I couldn't tell. I think it was just like a little bit of schmutz on it.
Okay.
A little bit that
Maybe.
just got.
Or just like some string or something.
Yeah.
And not actually structure.
Yeah, I don't think. I cannot. I looked at these so close. I couldn't find any difference.
No evidence of crush. Even on the 3 perimeters. That's crazy to me. Because even like squishing that myself, like there's quite a bit of resistance. You know, when it's 3 perimeters like that.
It's real cool.
It is.
We should do a Nacho Crush test.
Maybe we'll just do that real quick. Here's what we do, okay? Nacho in the crusher. All 9 of these in the blender at the same time.
So you just let it roll, see how long it takes?
We'll just do 10 seconds in the blender of all 9 of these, and we'll do a Nacho Crush.
Alright, deal.
Let's just do that.
Just as I expected. This TPU stuff took the pressure unlike anything we've tested. We're supposed to break these things. we might have to try something else.
That's right, but before we do that, let's talk a little bit about hardness and flexibility. Just how flexible is this stuff, and how do we measure it? Tell us about shore hardness.
My boy, Albert Ferdinand Shore, was like, yo, these objects are hard. How hard are they? My dude, Mr. Shore, created the Shore Hardness Scale. What is that? Oh, baby, are we gonna go into it? It scales the softness to hardness, 0 being softer, 100 being harder. But dude was like, bro, we got so many different soft and hard stuff. We got gels, rubbers, foams, sponges. We got different types of plastics, all that going all the way down. So we had to create 5 because it doesn't make sense to put it on one, does it? No, why would it? So homie created 5 different ones. More often, we're gonna see Shore A right around 70 to 95. Most common is gonna be about 95. How did they measure that? How do we tell? Well, homeboy Mr. Shore created the durometer. What's a durometer, you ask? It's a tool created to measure the deflection of the object. It's gonna go down, poke, see how far it can poke, and how quick it's gonna pop back up, how much force is in that. So it's just measuring pokes. Now surely, Mr. Shore couldn't be that crazy, because we have 6 different categories. He said 5 not enough, we need 6, baby. Also, I don't know if he can, I know he created it, I don't know if he created different variables. The internet will tell us immediately.
This is notable as well. If we're talking Shore A is a 95 and Shore B, that could be the same as a 70.
When we're going off with our Shore scales here, let's take a rubber eraser. Rubber eraser, maybe closer to 80 to 90 up here. Whereas if we scale this up, say we're here, we go down, I'm terrible at drawing lines. It'd be in between 10 and 20 on the D scale, but about a 90 or an 80 on the 0 scale.
Allows for different levels of precision, I would imagine.
Yes.
It's like when you're talking about millimeters versus centimeters.
Exactly.
If we're talking about how big is that board there, I can tell you it's like 0.7 meters or something, or I can tell you how many millimeters it is. Be very precise in millimeters, a lot higher resolution result.
You'll have like a 90.8 here.
Yeah, which
But
could
it
be a
could-
nice round number in B or something.
Yes, where it could just be a straight up 20 and B, so you might as well use Shore B for that.
Boy, that sure was informative. Really though, it looks like we did a little bit of research and we kind of looked into that, but let me know in the comments if we missed anything, because it's been interesting digging into TPU and the shore hardness and just learning about the special properties that flexibles possess. Now that we have that out of the way though, let's try and redeem the video a little bit. Let's crush some stuff. Yeah, it's totally gonna fly out. Absolutely pathetic. Well, Nacho lives. That's happening.
You ready?
That bottom one's gonna get so torched and the rest are gonna be fine.
Yeah, I know. Alright, let me know when you're ready.
I'm there for you.
What if I fall? What if you don't?
What a terrible noise.
Oh, that's hot.
I'll bet it is.
Feel that?
Oh my goodness. Just torched. Yeah, I think it was more of a melting thing, because like that stuff was on the sides before. Definitely more on the sides now.
Whoops.
So far in this video, we haven't really had any catastrophes, but not much is really happening. So luckily the blender kinda did something, but even that, we stopped it before it caught on fire. And I feel like if we left it a little bit longer, it would have caught on fire. I'm not sorry that the video is uneventful. Fire in the house is never good, but bear with us. We're kind of making this up as we go.
That was pretty neat.
Corey, TPU is hygroscopic. What can you tell me about what considerations? What do we need to observe because TPU is hygroscopic?
It likes water. We need to keep it dry so we don't get sizzles and it prints right. So either dry it out in a dry box, print it from a dry box, preferably, not fully necessary, but probably better off than not.
So this blue spool, we left it open for a week before I started printing with it. I didn't dry it out. I did print it from the box and turned the box on though, and cooked it at 50 Celsius for 6 hours. No print artifacts or anything, so it's been pretty humid here.
Anywhere from, in the last week, 50 to 65-ish% humidity.
Yeah, with that in mind, I don't know what this room's been in terms of humidity, but it didn't seem to wreck it inside of a week, which is good.
I'm gonna say that's impressive.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed about it is it's printed better than that black roll of mystery filament, but that's probably because this is proper Overture and the black roll is just like Amazon special. So all that to say, it didn't soak up water that fast, but it is certainly more hygroscopic than PETG, for example. Now, I feel like that is actually an important note. The TPU is pretty hygroscopic, and it's likely the most hygroscopic thing we've messed with here. But that said, some of the stuff that we have coming in future videos is way more hygroscopic. Like, print it from a dry box, don't leave it out, no matter what kind of hygroscopic. It's lucky the TPU was able to sit out for a week and not really show any print artifacts, as long as we were using the quality stuff. The Amazon Special TPU didn't fare as well. Your mileage may vary. Now, with all that out of the way, let's move on to reviewing our findings a little bit. Alright, let's watch absolutely nothing happen.
Yeah, look at it. Look at a little fat boy over there.
It's crazy how much it bulges, and like looking at how much deformation there is, and then there's nothing. It's like it didn't even happen.
I mean, so fast it comes back. It stays a little bit.
Yeah, for a second. Even with like walls so thin, you'd figure like maybe it'd crease or anything.
Yeah, something.
Nope. So that bulge there is not as bulgy.
It held up a little bit.
Because this is 2 walls at 5%.
It's almost more fun watching them in reverse.
Just nothing happening. You could play this forward or backward.
It'd be the same thing.
It'd be the same video. So 3 walls, 5%. So that's crazy because the top gives and then the rest of the model does. So it's acting like a more rigid material, but just nothing.
That's it. We're all squished all close together.
Like nothing happened.
Back to normal.
Absurd. Alright, on to the 10s. 1 wall, 10%.
That's where you start to lose the bulge.
So the energy is staying more in the infill there than it is to the K on the inside, the structure on the inside. That's kind of interesting.
Back to there.
So 2 perimeters, 10%. Yeah, that was kind of cool too. So you can see the K is fully, it's not bulging like you were saying because it's got that structure next to it. At the top starts to bulge. So the K is that weak point, the path of least resistance. There's no structure there, but it's not fully exploding immediately because it's got the infill kind of supporting it. All right, so we're at 3 perimeters. Now it's back to being the bulgy again.
Yeah, immediately.
3 perimeters, 10% infill. So when you have more perimeters, the structure is in the perimeters as opposed to the infill, right? If you have more infill and fewer perimeters, your structure is kind of evenly distributed. The infill has 1 perimeter effectively. Okay, and then the perimeters themselves is what we're varying when we talk perimeters. So when it's 1 perimeter, 5, 10, or 15, every line on that is just 1 perimeter, is 1 line. one pass,
okay.
you know?
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of interesting to see 3 perimeters and then have it right next to infill, which is effectively 1 perimeter.
The different reactions.
Yeah, because they're right next to each other too. That's like those 2 variables right next to each other. Alright, so yeah, so this one, 1 perimeter, 15%. Look at that infill, sucking it all up.
Eat it.
And then decay, of course. So weird. And then just watching it turn back into shape. You can see some squiggles,
Yeah.
but they're slowly just becoming squares again.
Coming right back to it.
So a lot of that soaked up in the infill there. So this is 2 perimeters, 15%.
Really seeing that infill do work on these ones especially.
Since that K has the extra perimeters, then it's gonna put the force into the infill, you know, because the extra perimeters is the strength now. So on this one, we should really see the infill soak up a lot of it at first, and the K remain intact at first. Absolutely crushing the infill first, and then the K bulges out and stuff. Man,
Like it was nothing.
weird results.
It's cool.
All right,
Lackluster.
that's something. All arounder, not bad. So Corey, what did we learn today?
We learned so much things about TPU, like its name, and that it's hygroscopic, and different uses for it as well.
TPU is flexible, which we already knew. We certainly have witnessed it a lot more. The extent of its flexibility with the crushing, we witnessed that as well. We looked into a brief segment on shore hardness. We did the blending. Everything got crushed. It didn't crush, so we just chucked it in the blender, of course. Even poor Nacho. Poor Nacho just like, yeah, it was just like, I'm out of here. I'm not gonna crush. TPU was a fun one. It was fun to experiment with different rolls of TPU between last video and this video as well, with the random mystery roll of black last video and this pretty blue overture TPU for this week. It was nice to compare a couple side by side. Overall, we didn't see anything surprising.
Yeah, I wouldn't say surprising. I mean, it all kind of made sense.
Flexible material is flexible. That's what everything showed us. So,
Who'd have thought?
who'da thunk? Alright, if you like this video, check out our other video we did on TPU. It was like this, but either more or less informative. We do this for other filaments like PLA and PETG. We're going to continue to do this for other filaments like ABS and carbon fiber nylon. Stay tuned for those ones, because they're going to be cool, dude. Ooh-wee. Let us know in the comments what we should test out. Is there a special filament you want to see up on the big screen here? Let us know. If you know more about TPU than we do, chances are you do, let us know. If you can explain what TPU is to me as if I was a 2-year-old, please tell me in the comments. Otherwise, come back next week for more stuff. Thanks for watching. Bye. Bye.